Alright, this is take 5. What you're seeing before you has nothing to do with takes 1 through 4, but I will inform you. This is coming off of a 5-hour stint, we'll call it. We're a little bit in outer space right now, but just trust me, just bear with me, alright? Alright, so I was going through, and I was like, you know what, let's make a thing out of this, you know what I mean? Let's turn this into something, you know what I mean? Because I think it's funny, but, maybe there's, some takeaway here. And so, in whatever the fuck that I was just doing, I was like bouncing back and forth. I was like, oh yeah, take a look at this shit, you know what I mean? It's like, this is what I've been doing for the past, however the fuck long, as much as I was focused on the computer anyway. And I was like, you know what? I was like, let me fucking break it down. Let me explain this shit. Right? So I'm gonna explain this shit. Alright, so what you're seeing before you, if you took this picture to anybody and said, what the fuck is this dude? Some fucking schizophrenic wrote this or drew this, whatever the fuck. This man is insane. Not the case. I will, okay, so basically the entire thing that went into this, right? I'm breaking down my 4 to 5 hour experience while still on the experience, if you get what I'm saying. Alright, so, fuck, I don't remember, we started off with the leg thing, oh my god, the leg thing. See, everything about this is gonna come full circle, and it's not even like a full circle, like from here, and then we're gonna finish and be like, oh, see, look, we're full circle. It's like the fucking, like, Audi symbol, where it's like loop-de-loop-de-loop-de-loop, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many full circles, you know what I mean? It's like Boros, fucking shit, Ouroboros, whatever, fuck. It's the legs, alright? So you know how if you're stretching, and you get to, like, the point just before you finish stretching, like that point that it just feels so good, you know what I mean? But then it's like, boom, you know what I mean? You finished your stretch and like, boom, that's good. Or like when you're breathing, you get that good like of air. I need to breathe. Hold on. Like that. No, but seriously, like it feels really good. You know what I mean? To get that big breath of air, to get that like stretch out, but it's temporary. You know what I mean? It's good because it has like it's a build up to something, and then it has like a finality to it. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember why. I don't remember where this becomes relevant, but this is where the story started. So just, bear with me. So what the fuck was after that? That was... Okay, so actually it started off, it was basically like that. Like, that's the kind of vibe I got. And I was like, you know what? I'm fucking recording this shit. This shit is too funny. So I got the microphone. I started unraveling it. The more I unraveled it, the more just like fucking humorous the whole thing was. The whole fucking thing. It's like, it was just too funny. Like at this point, it was self-sustaining. You know what I mean? Like you have a point where you're like, this could be placebo. You know what I mean? Like this could only be happening maybe just because I think it is. You know what I mean? That type of shit. But then, well, as I was unraveling that, I got to the point where I was like, nah, bro, this is it. And it was like, it was crazy. But anyway, so I bounced on the mic, sorry. I put the mic in, whatever the fuck. And fuck, man, I can't remember what I was talking about initially. So, on the other hand, we'll just pick up what we're picking up here. Where for whatever reason, I decided to put it on a notepad, or paint.net, whatever the fuck, same diff. Causal determinism, alright? Causal determinism. The individual, I was talking about Pantheon, how there's, the scale of sci-fi. Oh my god, dude, there's so much that goes into this. Bro, this is like a whole fucking lore page. Oh my god. Speaking of lore page, Wario does become relevant at some point. I'm not shitting you. Oh my god, what the fuck was... I think that's what the early part was. Somehow along the way, because this is so disconnected from everything else, I started talking about Wario. And I was talking about how Wario was like a whole-ass supervillain. Like, if you said, alright, define me as supervillain, and you went categorically down the list, picking like the most like fucking on the nose to the point of being comedic example there possibly was to give, dude, Wario is who you would get. He is he is a whole ass supervillain. That's all I can tell you about Wario. I don't know where we're. Oh my god, yes, that's right. Fucking, it got brought up because of Mario and Luigi. I was like, Mario and Luigi. I was like, what the fuck is their last name? What the fuck? Like, this is a household name, Nintendo. You know, what the fuck is Mario's last name? What the fuck is Luigi's last name? I looked this shit up. I said, all right, Luigi, what's his last name? This motherfucker said, Luigi Mario. I said, huh? Luigi Mario? And I said, man, it must suck to be Luigi. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? At every fucking turn, you're overshadowed by your brother Mario. Not only that, your whole ass last name is his name. Like, Jesus, bro. Can we get a shout out to my man Luigi? But no, yeah, we were talking about that fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. How the fuck did Sonic the Hedgehog come up? I don't know. It was like, what was Sonic the Hedgehog's real name? And it was like something Maurice Hedgehog or whatever the fuck. And we got looking into how there was all this lore about, like, what? Like, how Sonic was not born Sonic. He was born something Maurice or whatever the hell. And he changed his name, but it wasn't out of a grievance of either grandfather. He just changed his name to Sonic, or I don't know. What the fuck? So, you know, you might be wondering where all this leads. And I'm just getting that shit out of the way because I don't know where that tangent fucking intersects at all, to be honest. I think that was just a moment of lunacy. But it was funny. Fuck, what else? What was it? I guess I kind of told the whole story, like Wario, fucking Mario, Luigi, all that shit. But anyway, here we get here to the individual. Like, that was kind of like the point, I guess. If you're gonna take away anything from that, the point was the individual. You know what I mean? And oh my god, no, because then we started talking about Pantheon and the idea. Oh, sci-fi, the scale of sci-fi. Shit, sorry. I don't know what order this came in. I'm pretty sure it started with like the fucking like just the scale of sci-fi. And we'll take it down first. You might think I mean like just in terms of like size, and it's like, yeah, in terms of size, of course. But not even just that. It's like the scale of how many people, you know what I mean? Because you're talking about the fucking cosmos, you know what I mean? You're talking about like in science fiction, you're talking whoa, that is not, get that out of here. You're talking about sorry, my blanket was like, it was like, fuck, man, that was so weird. Anyway, what was this? Oh yeah, the scale of sci-fi. Because it's fucking, you have planets worth of people. These conflicts that happen from like stellar empire to whatever the fuck, these are fucking monumental. Because this is not, I don't know. But the point is, like the scale of sci-fi, it's fucking crazy, you know what I mean? And where this sort of like drives in is like the idea that, you know, you snuff out just one person in the whole of sci-fi. You have your fucking, let's open a new file. We'll come back to this when we come back to this. We need to go through the whole story now. Alright, so say you have your fucking planet, you know what I mean? They've contributed to building like 3 fucking warships or whatever, and you got like 100 people, not 100, but you got like a million. A million. There you go. We got 1 million people on each of these motherfuckers. Alright, you got 1 million people on all 3 of these. You go out, boom, boom, boom. Just think about the scale of one of these like massive frigates, you know what I mean? Poof, you know what I mean? It's blown up. That's hundreds of people. That's 1 million people dead right there. The fucking scale of it is huge. The fucking scale of it. Because it's all interconnected, you know what I mean? You take one individual, that individual, let's open up a new page again. You take that one individual, they have, you know, connections to all these other people. Boom, 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 boom. Like they are, it's all, you know what I mean? Whatever the fuck, whatever. We don't care. We gotta move on. But anyway, the idea was the scale of sci-fi. The fucking insane how monumental it is. What was the other thing? Scale sci-fi, what the fuck else? There's something else, I can't remember what it was. I guess it doesn't matter. Anyway, somehow, along the way, we got to the point of looking at this. What we're seeing right here is not, in fact, the work of a schizophrenic madman, but me, about 4 hours ago. Whether or not... there's a joke to be had there. I'll let you figure out the rest of that. I'm not a fan of that. Alright, so let's run this down. Alright. Let me do my best to explain this. And what you're looking at right here is essentially, where's my thingy? Here's my thingy. I like this. It's causal determinism, but not exactly just that. It's also like the idea of like the individual. And so like if causal determinism is true, alright, so it's just, I'm not even gonna explain what it is. Just take for a second that it is true. Or if it's true, then that means something that a lot of people will be a lot more familiar with, like the multiverse. If causal determinism is true, that means the multiverse cannot be a thing. Alright. But flip that on the other side. If the multiverse is true, then causal determinism can't be, you know, what it is. And for the record, I believe in causal determinism. But we'll get to that when we get to that, because this is a whole ass fucking story, bro. This is a whole ass story. Just like Warrior's a whole ass supervillain, bro. This shit's a whole ass story, trust me. Where were we? Alright, so, yes. Okay, so let's start from here. Okay, so heads and tails. If I say to pick, oh my god, there's so much that has to go into this, bro. There's so much that has to go into this. Fuck. Okay, we're gonna have to break it down even more. Actually, no. See, this is one of those things where it works. It looks like this. I'll show you how it looks. All right, you wanna know how it looks like? It looks exactly like this. All right, so we start here. Boom, boom, boom. I start explaining a thing. Oh, fuck, man, I lost it. I totally had it in my mind what I was trying to say. Let me just begin. All right, let me just begin. Okay. There is, in fact, going to have to be an explanation of what causal determinism is. And I will start with the most surface level, non-specific example I can give. And this all becomes relevant, trust me. This ties into like the human mind, fucking individuality, fucking all that shit. Just trust me. So, there's a ball flying through the air. This is the 1+1 shit, this is the 2+2 shit, you know, there's a lot of stuff in life, you know, you are consciously aware, maybe not always consciously, but like you are at least aware enough that this is a thing that could be broken down, like without a doubt you could break this down. So if you give somebody a physics problem, it's like, alright, here's the ball flying through this air, this is the fucking speed, velocity, whatever. You give them that, and they can come up with a solution. Now, take that a bit broader, all right? Both broader and more specific. So rather than just looking at the ball, look at the ball in context and then break everything else down. So like that ball is flying through the air. Why is it flying through the air? Because I threw it. Why did I throw it? You know, the musculature of, you know what I mean? The fucking, each individual wind particle. Like, you need to have this shit down to the fucking, like, nth of a thing, you know what I mean? Like, this is no, like, rounding up, rounding down bullshit. It's, like, infinitely precise, I guess we can say. You break down that physical moment. So you take a screenshot of, or a snapshot of reality. I say this shit a lot. Snapshot of reality, what you call it. And that's what you have. And if you're looking at the physicality of it, the physicality, whatever the fuck, you can, you know, you can understand that. You can see how, like, specific things wound up the way they were. So in that screenshot, that snapshot of reality, sorry, I am throwing this ball with this exact pose, with my muscles exactly however they are, with the fucking wind however it is, yada yada yada. All this stuff contributes to that snapshot. And the thing is this snapshot is all-encompassing. It doesn't matter if you're aware of a thing or you're not. Just take, for instance, we're looking at, like, all of fucking reality, taking a snapshot of the whole fucking thing, and you're like a supercomputer that, like, you just have the whole thing. You get what I mean? That snapshot, like, because you can at least, everybody can kind of relate to this, at least, is if I pick up the mouse and I drop it, the mouse falls. You know, we get that. But the idea is, like, the exact nature of how I was holding the mouse, how high I lifted it, yada, yada, yada. Like, all this stuff breaks down. Like, you can keep breaking the physicality of it down infinitely, basically. Or I guess it'd be like a finite infiniteness, because technically there's like a limited amount of stuff you could actually cover, but fuck it, whatever. Who cares? That's besides the point. The point is, that snapshot of reality is unique. It is so completely and utterly unique that there is only one snapshot that has ever or could ever exist that would have to come immediately prior to that first screenshot. And the reason why is because, okay, in our screenshot the ball's flying. How did it fly there? We have to go back. I threw the ball. And compare these two snapshots, and again, they would be more instantaneous than just ball in hand, the ball over there. But the idea is, like, every event is led up to by another specific event. So, like, this snapshot of reality can only exist because of the snapshot, you know, that was. So, like, if I tell you to pick up a can or whatever, you pick up a can and you drop it, alright? So you dropping the can that's the initial snapshot. The next snapshot will be the can hitting the ground. The snapshot before you picking up the can is you not having picked up the... Fuck, what am I saying here? I get what I'm trying to give it as an example here, but it doesn't feel like it's quite hitting. Alright. So the point is physically, we just get that. Alright, everybody gets that. You know, everything led up to something. The physics is all there. Everything lines up. That's whatever the fuck. So that unique snapshot, there's only one such snapshot that could ever be, and has been, that immediately precedes that. And similarly, there's only one snapshot that could... Because if I'm throwing this ball, if you have a screenshot of all of reality, it's not like... If there's something, like if a fucking plane crashes out of the sky into the ball and knocks it out, like that seems like so out of left field, right? But the thing is though, like the entire screenshot of reality, that would take all that into account, you know what I mean? So it's like there are no like unpredictable elements, you know what I mean? Like if anything, think about it another way, like okay, there's a ball flying through the air, what happens? If you're just given that, you're like, okay, well the ball, you know, lands here, I did the problem, whatever the fuck. What's the answer, Professor? A fucking jet plane crashes at 44 miles per hour into the ground. Well, a lot more than 44, sorry, but you know, whatever, you get what I'm saying? And it's because if you're given like each expanse you give to the picture, you can see that it all adds up. Alright, whatever the fuck. This is not even the interesting part, okay? I'm just doing a bad job at explaining this. You know, there's a lot of shit that I'll say that I think people just have a hard time getting. I'm just not putting this out right. Like, I'm saying this in the most scuffed fucking way possible. So I'm just gonna assume you know what I'm talking about. So then, if this is the case, if something like that was so simple, alright, so we understand now that each physical moment has an immediately prior physical moment and an immediately following physical moment, because it's not like anything can just magically change, you know what I mean? Like if you have the snapshot of all reality and there's no jet planes out and that ball's flying through the air, that ball, you know. I feel like I'm just fucking it up again. Ah, Jesus. Okay, the point is, there has to be some point of divergence, right? There has to be, like, okay, ignoring calls of, well, no. this part we can at least get, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like random, you know what I mean? Like, if fucking, Jesus Christ, I'm overloading right now. If this plane did come crash out of the sky, it didn't just crash out of the sky for no reason, right? It wasn't some random flip of the dice, you know what I mean? That's not how the fucking, you know what I mean? If we take that to be true, right? That there aren't just these literally just random things that happen. Like, everything has a thing that precedes up to it. Let's just take for a second, let's question the multiverse, all right? And this, finally, is where we get into all this. There would have to be a point of divergence. There would have to be a point of divergence. And if we have established that everything physically happens for a reason, if I am throwing the ball here and the wind is this way and I'm that way, the ball will end up over there. The point of divergence, then, isn't in the physical. It would have to lie in the mental. And what do I mean by that? And what you can see here on the screen is a representation of me asking you, well, I guess in part, it's a representation of me asking you, heads or tails? Heads or tails, something so simple as that. But that would have to be the point of divergence if there were multiverse was a thing. Because that plane, you know, got there because of all this shit that led up to it, you know what I mean? The only way that plane couldn't have been there then is if somebody somewhere along the way had made the decision to not have the plane be there. You know what I mean? This sounds some fucking dumb shit, but trust me. Let me put it a different way. Let me not put it a different way, because this is going to keep going on and on and on, I swear to God. Alright, but just bear with me. The point of divergence would have to be, like, in the human, you know, their ability to determine things, to think to determine things or whatever. That would have to be the point of divergence, because that's the only, like, mystical, I guess, element that you could, you know, put into this. Because if a lightning strikes, you know, act of God, or on the other hand, you know, lightning strikes because of da-da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? Like, there are reasons lightning strike, this specific, you know, circumstance was led to by so on and so forth, and then it just goes down the chain. The point of divergence would have to be in the mental. And it comes down to me asking you heads or tails, heads or tails. Something so seemingly inconsequential. And here's the significance of this. If, let's take for instance, the multiverse is true. Just take it to be true. If I said heads or tails, you would just be giving a random response. Your response would just be, well, heads or tails. And each time I ask that, this is what this is. Each time I ask this, it keeps branching out. And, you know, eventually get to the point where, because all this, like, if it is possible for you as an individual to come up with a truly random output, whatever the fuck, if I say heads or tails and you actually do truly random heads or tails, whatever the fuck have you, then that means, okay, so multiverse, boom, here you are. That means if these are just random things, you are not really so much an individual anymore. You are more just like one of a set of like inevitable outcomes in which you didn't really have control. And this is going to be like, this is going to seem really ironic until I finish, but the multiverse, this right here is not control, because each point of divergence, actually you can take this to be in two different ways. There are either points of divergence where the outcome is truly random. I say pick a number 1 through 10. Boom. Okay, truly random number, whatever. Split, 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 you know what I mean? Down the line. Or, perhaps even worse, is you make random... I don't have an ASMR headset. This isn't actually like... This isn't doing the effect that I'm trying to go after here, but... The idea is like even worse is the idea that what you say is random. So there is, if somebody says yada yada yada, you have what, a 70% chance to say something or a 30% chance to say something else, and then it goes from there. That's ridiculous. That is fucking ridiculous. No, you come to whatever conclusion you come to because you will always come to that conclusion as an individual. And bouncing it back a second, the whole bit about this, the reason why this is like it takes away from the individual is because that means that you are no longer the decision maker, right? You are not deciding things. You are not building up an experience of things to, bang boom. You are just one of these many outcomes. Because if these points of divergence are just random, then you just happen to be. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to have to line the whole thing up, because if I try to, it's gonna whatever. But you can get what I'm saying here. So yeah. And the reason why I said this is probably seems like because when you think multiverse, you think, oh, it's like that's like the definition of like the infiniteness of my choices is the multiverse. But the thing is you're you will always make the decisions you have made, will make, yada yada yada. This is not a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you looked back, oh, a week ago I had a choice 1 or 2 and I picked this. What if I picked that? You know what I mean? But you would never have picked that. You know what I mean? And if there is a situation where there really is a multiverse where you picked 1 or you picked 2, like that's boom, point of divergence. Why did you pick 1? Why did you pick 2? There's no reason. It's just random. And at that point, again, you're no longer an individual. You just happen to be you just happen to be this. You just happen to be one particular outcome. Right? And the reason I say this might seem ironic, bouncing back again, is because when you think of the multiverse, you think of that's like the definition of like the infiniteness of my choices, the fucking yada yada yada. Causal determinism, on the other hand, seems to be almost the exact opposite. It seems to say, I have lived this past, I will always live this past, this will be my future, that will always be my future, yada yada yada. And that seems to be predestination. However, I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because predestination it's about who you attribute the responsibility to. So with predestination, right, as a theological concept, it's basically saying God or something. They laid out this path, boom, you're following the path. That's fucked, in my opinion, by the way. But the reason causal determinism isn't predestination is because you have to think about who the kind of actor is in the situation. The reason, this is where this bottom line comes in, the reason the fucking line is the way the line is because those are the choices you have made. Those are the choices you will always make. There is no other, like, jumping back up here. Like, so this is the point of divergence. This cut right here is the point of divergence. These are, like, the infinite directions you could theoretically go off onto. However, if you are truly an individual, then whatever you say, or whatever, kind of response you have, whatever, you will always have the same one. You know what I mean? Like, these are, it's fun to think about, like, okay, these are possibilities. Like, in terms of, like, but they're not, you know what I mean? Like, they're not possibilities. Like, they could never have been. Because the human mind, right, is a machine. The humanness of it comes to the nuance of, you've experienced these things in life, blah, 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 blah. Like, you have like a sort of unique makeup in there that, you can give 1,000 different people X plus Y, you'll get 1,000 different equal Z's. You know what I mean? Like, the Z will be completely different for all these different people. But the thing is that the X plus Y equals Z will always be that Z for them in the moment. You know what I mean? So yeah, like, the causal determinism thing is like, you have the timeline. It will always be that timeline because you, as well as every other individual, have made choices that they would always make. Like, there's no randomness into it. It's not like if I say 1 through 10, it's not like, boom, you've just picked a number. It's not like there's another reality out there where you've picked a different number at that same exact time. Like, will that be a point of divergence? Okay, well, let me explain to you what happens then, all right? We'll give some consequence to this. It's no longer just about random numbers. It's about, okay, boom, 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 boom. Actually, we don't even need this because I had this. Look at this. I'm so smart. Right here. $100 million. Heads or tails, $100 million. Boom. Now, now there is some point of divergence. So what are you saying? It's complete luck that there's two different realities now where one of you picked heads and one of you picked tails. No, there's something that goes into why you picked what you picked, even if you're not consciously aware of it. Even if you're not consciously aware of it, it's still there. There is, because here's the thing: as soon as you attribute anything in your mind to actual true randomness, you don't have to be consciously aware of it. But as soon as you say that anything in your mind is well and truly random, you're no longer an individual. You're no longer an individual at that point. So, but yeah, the point is causal determinism, it's not a matter of... Because when you first look at it, you think predestination, but I've already said it's not predestination, it's different. It is how it is because that's how you would always determine it to be, you know what I mean? It's about, I guess it's the order of operation of things. It's not like we're starting off... Whatever, I'm getting found myself. Well, the point is we can see all that. What the fuck is this? Oh my god. Oh, you know what? No. I know exactly what this is. This is when I was talking about the machine of the human mind. This is exactly what this is. The XYZ scenario I was coming up with, this is exactly it right here. So the XYZ, this is how it all started. The XY, goes up here. This is the input. Actually, no, it started off 1 + 1. This is the input. This is the machine. Boom, boom, boom. 2. That's the machine. The machine will always give you that, right? But then... And this up here is supposed to be the computer or whatever. Well, actually, there's two computers. There's that computer and then there's this computer. This computer is a computer. This computer is the human mind. So you take a scenario, and this is what I was saying. You give X, Y, Z, whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. Basically, you just give a scenario to a person, and everyone will give you kind of like a unique whatever. They'll give you a unique Z. I've already explained this, but that's what this is. All right. It's essentially that these are the lines of code. The lines of code on a computer are very concrete, very absolute. When you break it down to the human mind, this is what I mean. It's like it's a maze. The human mind is a computer, right? But something seems a little off because if you give a computer 1 + okay, well, obviously if you give a computer 1 + 1, it's gonna equal 2. If I give you 1 + 1, it's gonna equal 2. Just think a little bit bigger here. Think a little more abstract. You know what I mean? If you give a computer something, a computer will always replicate the same thing because it's just the same copy-paste type shit. You know what I mean? The human mind is also a computer, by definition. I'm not trying to say anything, crazy here. By definition. However, if it's doing computations and all that, you know what I mean? You have to be able to break it down into lines of code. The human mind is lines of code, right? The human programming. This is what I mean. Even if you're not consciously aware of it, you yourself will always come to the same Z because of, all these little nuances. What was the first notch? The first notch was something about when you were 3 years old, you saw a TV commercial about a pistachio. Boom. The other one was 13 hours ago, you heard news of a dog falling from the sky. Boom, there's another notch. You know what I mean? All these little this is why it's not an easy thing to replicate. To say the human mind is lines of code, I think belittles it. It makes it seem too simple, you know what I mean? But it doesn't take into account the absolute just level of complexity that goes into the each individual human mind, you know what I mean? All these little tiny things, even if you're not consciously aware of them, even if it's something, way back when, all this stuff builds up, all this stuff compounds, and it's the human mind is basically the ultimate self-learning machine, you know what I mean? It picks up all this shit, and it builds kind of its own unique way to process things. So maybe the XYZ example is kind of a bad thing because that makes it mathematical. The intent behind that wasn't necessarily to be mathematical. It was me going from talking about the mathematical to things that are not concrete. So this is why it started off 1 + 1 and then turned into XYZ. But yeah. So obviously, if you have 1 + 1, you get 2, whatever. But the XY is supposed to be something not something specific still, so that it's the XY would be common between all the different people you're telling, but it wouldn't be a numerical thing. It would be how does this painting make you feel, or whatever the fuck, shit like that. And so it's the human mind at the same, it has just enough, if you looked at it, you could be alright, yeah, this breaks down completely into lines of code, the whole thing fucking adds up, I get that. But it has just enough mysticism to it to be like not so easy a thing. Like it's not easy to just this is a human being. You know what I mean? Like it's not just boom. There's a human mind. There's a whole lot of complexity that goes into it. A whole lot that shapes an individual. I just realized I'm doing that thing again where I hold on. I'm doing that thing again where I like vibe the tune or the tone, whatever the fuck, with the music. Not my intent. It just happens. That was funny though. Anyway. Fuck. Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck. Where were we? Oh yeah, the human mind, blah blah blah. But it has just enough mysticism, right, to be still kind of like elusive in the way that it's like, because here's the thing, if you can so definitively define something as, 1 + 1 = 2, it's no longer special, you know what I mean? If I was able to just break down, boom, this is every tiny thing that goes down in a human mind to a fucking T, it's no longer special. I can replicate that en masse, you know what I mean? Like, that's no longer an individual, that's just copy-paste. But like, there's just enough mysticism there to be like, we can get that there's a series of like 1 + 1, 2 + 2 that goes into this. However, it's it's just enough to make it its own thing, to make you your own person. Oh my god, dude, every fucking slide I go deeper makes me look even more deranged. What the fuck is this? I know what this is, but holy shit, this does not make me look any better. Alright, I'll tell you what this is. I'll tell you exactly what this is. So, this was talking about like the I guess the cosmicness, like the greater significance of anything and everything. In that, oh my god, dude, this fucking wire's all tore up. Not tore up, fucking tangled up, whatever. I'm twisting this mic around so many times I can't even count, bro. I'm fucking running laps around this motherfucker. Bro, I'm tweaking on a motherfucker right now. Not actually, but So this is about, the individual. This is entirely about the individual. So you have like the cosmic significance. Okay, you can get what the fuck. You can remember that. It's not a very complex picture. To explain what it is, though, you have the individual. Let me switch back to black. Black is a much better color. Actually, I like orange a lot, but for the purposes of this, it's obviously, Alright. So the 1 is a person. The 2, all the numbers there were people, by the way. So you have 1 and 2. Alright. So this is a local interaction. So a friend talking to a friend about, whatever the fuck. I really need to fix this, by the way. Hold up. I shit you not when I tell you this is about like the 3rd time I've had to do this. Oh my god, it's all twisted. Hold up. Talk about our vibe, Kelly. This makes me think though. You know what would also be fucking funny? Is to come at this shit when I'm not on this shit, you know what I'm saying? But, so, fuck, 1 + 1, or no, not 1 + 1, 1 to 2, these are people, the numbers are people, alright, so the whole thing is people, so whatever. So this is a local interaction, friends saying some shit to each other, whatever, like, boom. And if you want to think cosmically, you want to put it underneath the layer, like, outside of this, what the fuck matters? You have nothing out here, right? Like, there's no, like, you know what I mean? You die, the 2 dies, everybody dies eventually. Boom, there's no greater significance, right? However, significance, everybody has a different, like, definition of, like, what exactly is significant to them. But the point is significance is determined to be a thing by humans, right? Like, we have determined, like, significance isn't a cosmic attribute. It's one that we have determined to, be. So that means that, by definition, the meaning, I guess, can't be found outside of this, right? Like, because it's not coming from out here, it's coming from in here. And so the point is the meaning comes from, your simple 1 to 2 interactions, because your 2, they know 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They know the whole fucking alphabet, whatever the fuck. Obviously, those are numbers, not the alphabet, but whatever. And the point is like, so it's all interconnected, you know what I mean? Like, jumping back to this whole container here is a lot more expensive than it might seem, because it's not just a matter of 1 and 2. It's 1 is connected to all these people, 2 is connected to all these people. And this is where we lead back into the scale of sci-fi, is because you have those 1 million people coming out. Boom. Those 1 million people had 1 million different connections. Over 1 million different connections, actually. You probably had 1 million each. I mean, like, if you want to keep tugging the string as far as it can go, as far as like personal interactions, like person 1 knows person 2 knows person 37 knows person 899. You could just keep going, you know what I mean? But it's all self-contained, is the point. So the significance lies with ourselves and how much meaning we attribute to things. And our interactions with other people, because that's not to say this isn't a lesson in nihilism, right? Like, nihilism would just say fucking nothing matters, so whatever. Like, don't do this or do that, and I don't even know. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, that's nihilism, right? Like, nihilism is just literally nothing matters, to the point of like, I could do this, but what's the point? I could not do that. What's the point? You know what I mean? Like, that's just, nihilism is boring to me. Or at least nihilism as is. I think optimistic nihilism is where it's at, but besides the point. But yeah. You can kind of get where that's going. I just realized this is the call. But no, I mean, I don't know. Oh man, what kind of psychotic bullshit? Look at this. This is fucking. But no, like, it's even the small shit, you know what I mean? Like, I don't remember where I started this video at. I don't know if this is like, fuck, I don't know, man. The point is. Well, the point is what the point is. I'm kidding. Well, I'm not, obviously, but. I don't know. You just gotta trust me when I tell you. Excuse me. This whole thing, it was connected, but it was not like, it's hard to put into words, you know what I mean? Because like, the mind is like, you have the whole picture, boom, right there. Like, you have the entire painting. But if you're trying to relay the painting, relay the image, obviously it's more than an image, but just bear with me. If you're trying to relay the image in its completeness, you have to do it word by word. You have to do it very linearly. So for example, my mind trying to relay whatever the fuck to you is like, in my mind, I already get the fucking picture that I'm trying to convey. However, when I'm trying to convey it, I've got to do it linearly. And for me, it's just like the whole picture's there. So it's like, we're going to start here. We're talking about this, but we need to bring up this point that, to me, I already get the context. I already get the background, but I'm just jumping into shit as if everybody else is supposed to get that. But the point is. The point is, the 1 to 2 interactions matter. I guess that's it. Like, the search for fucking meaning or whatever, like, it's not gonna be out there. It's not gonna be out there. It's gonna be up to us, up to you, if anything. Because you attribute, something is significant if you decide it's significant. Boom. You know what I mean? The meaning of what you do and all that shit, that's up to you. How much of a value you conclude that to be, how much, it's not some cosmic thing. It's not some cosmic calculator, not some... Something I want to talk about, though, is... Because all this shit, you're probably 1 or 2 people at this point. You're probably like, dude, this shit's fucking... What the fuck? Who is this guy? Or you're like, kind of the same thing, but, I see what he's saying. And, like, it seems like such an arrogant thing to say, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. Fuck. It's not like you get it, you don't get it. I mean, it is, but it's not. Whatever. But okay, here's what I'm trying to say. Is like, where do you measure up? You know what I mean? Like, as an individual, where do you measure up? Because to me, what I'm saying, it all makes complete sense. But to somebody else, it could be complete fucking like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And what's to give my shit any, you know, everything I've said here any more meaning, any more whatever the fuck than somebody else? And it comes down to the listener. You know what I mean? Like, I have determined. Dude, I'm fucking lost right now, bro. Not actually, but in terms of what I'm trying to say. This is what I mean. It's the vibe, you know. The music in the background now really is slow. It's kind of like down. I don't like that. I don't like that. We need something a little more hype. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get some of this or something. Is this hype? I don't know. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Fuck, man. I don't even know what we're talking about. What the fuck? Why does this look like some fucking like magic spell? The magic incantation. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Oh, but the measure up thing. The measure up thing is like. Okay, it sounded like I was getting off on a bent there, talking about like trying to like measure the self against the world, but I mean like in term because like that sounds kind of like rich if I just said, you know, the meaning comes from yourself, blah blah blah, whatever. But it's the idea of like to me myself, like why is like because somebody else could say something similar, like they could say some shit, and I'll just be like, you know, something about it just doesn't seem right. It just seems a little off, you know what I mean? As if they're not like. It's almost like they're saying words, and they have like a vague kind of understanding of what it is they're saying. But they're just missing the mark. You know what I mean? They're just missing the mark, and that's like the vibe I get, you know. And what? Why is my observation that they aren't actually like they're just clueless about what they're saying? How is that any different? Like, what makes me saying this shit, right? Like, fuck, bro. I like moving it around like this. It's cool. Alright, let me put, because I don't mean to sound arrogant again, but like, and okay, I'm not Einstein, right? Fucking not at all. Make no such claim. But the thing is like, you know, you got the fine line between genius and madness, that type of shit. You got the, you know, whatever, you know. So it's like that. It's like, how do you know kind of where you are on that, you know what I mean? Like, so if somebody else is saying some shit, so somebody else is saying something, and I'm like, yeah, no, like, just nod your head and say sure, like, whatever. What makes that different? Like, I think I'm looking at this wrong way. I think I'm taking the assumption that they actually are like what the fuck I'm thinking of them to be. I don't know, man. Let me put it this way. It's like you could have two people. You could write the same line. You could give it to two different people, and you would get like two different things out of that. You know what I mean? Because for one person, there's like a real like makeup that goes there. There's like a real meaning behind everything on it. And for the other person, it's like they kind of have like a rough connection, but it's like it's just enough to be off to where you can. It stands out that it's like they're not getting what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking weird to explain. But like, if you've ever been in a conversation with somebody like that, you'll know what the fuck I'm talking about. But what the fuck was I saying? Bro. What the fuck? Oh my god. Alright, jumping back, I guess. I don't know, bro. Cause, like, again, I don't mean... What do I mean? It's a good question. I know what I mean, but I don't know what I'm saying. Does that make sense? Oh my god, where did the part... There was a certain part that came up kind of along a similar time. And this is so weird, because I'm talking about... Oh my god. Okay. So I'm not sure if we're still on the same track here. But this is the stint of a stint. And I'm trying to, like, emulate. Like, I'm like, referencing back to the shit. You know what I mean? Like, so this is like a journey. So, like, I'm trying to pick it back up here. Kind of somewhere along the line, rap got brought up. Or I was talking about rap. Because I was talking about the, when I mentioned about how, like, you could give 2 lines to two different people and you get, like, 2 different things out of it. And I don't mean, like, you say... I need to turn the music down. It's too loud. I don't mean to say you yourself, like, da-da-da, and then 2 different people get 2 different meanings out of that. Like, yes, that's true, but that's not what I mean. I mean, like, if you just wrote down, like, yada yada yada, yada yada yada, yada yada yada, and then if 2 different people speak it, you'll get 2 different things, you know what I mean? Because one person, you'll have the connection. Like, one person will, like, have it. They'll have, like, they'll know what the fuck. They'll know the fuck, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. And then the other person, again, they might have kind of an idea, but it's like you can see that there's just something about it that's off, you know what I mean? It's either... And it usually comes down to the fact that it seems like they're bending too hard. Not bending too hard. They're pushing too hard in a specific direction that is off the mark, but they're, like, doubling down on it. It's such a weirdly specific thing to say, but, like, just trust. But anyway, about the rap thing, is because the rap is fucking beautiful. Lyrical rap, anyway. Because it's taking, you know, these words, obviously, but it's... So you have this idea, you have this concept, you know what I mean? But it's packaging them, it's giving it the delivery, it's putting art on the delivery of it, you know what I mean? So you can think of these, like, these big stories, big lessons, big, you know, whatever the fuck, whatever have you. But, like, in rap, you know what I mean? They got the rhythm, they got the rhyme, they got the tone, they got the whole, they got the delivery. It's like in order of operations thing again, where it's not like they made this thing. Okay, let me put. It's not like they made this thing that's music. It's like they made this thing that's musical. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. It's such a weird thing to say, but it's like this song needs to go, bro. It's not the vibe that I'm trying to hit right now. Fuck. But it's got the art on the delivery, you know what I mean? It's got the whole fucking thing, the whole fucking deal. And so then what do? I made, like, a joke about being a rapper or whatever. And I have my stick here, my thing. And this was a... well, it's a little late for that, I suppose. Never mind. Where the fuck? Where did we go from rap? I don't remember. It was a fucking journey, though. I'll tell you what. It was funny. Pum 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 pum.